Over the last 3 videos, we have covered a lot of ground on the subject of spaying and neutering versus leaving a dog intact. In the first video, we started with how historic veterinary recommendations came to be. In the second video, we covered some of the newer breed-specific guidelines to come out of the University of California at Davis. And in the previous video, we discussed the effects these decisions have on lifespan and behavior. In this video, we are going to discuss what the research actually means for you and where we stand in the profession today. First, I think it's important to discuss why such a discrepancy still exists. To look at that, one must look back at how things typically happen in the world of medicine. Oftentimes, a treatment seems logical, it is used for a long time, someone steps back and says, but does it really work? They do studies and determine efficacy. History has all kinds of extreme examples of accepted things that now seem crazy, from bloodletting to lobotomies. Even in the course of my career, I have seen a huge shift in treatments that were considered standard of care early in my career. When I was a vet student, if a dog came in with a suspected back issue, it was an emergency and the radiologists, surgeons, and anesthesiologists were called in and back surgery was done ASAP. For dogs that surgical referral wasn't an option, we would hospitalize and give potent steroids IV. Now, only a fraction of those dogs will proceed to surgery, and steroids have fallen out of favor, though some of us old guys still occasionally use them on back dogs. The difference with spaying and neutering is that the health implications and outcomes are not the only factor considered in the discussion. There are societal pressures and perceptions that are also influencing this discussion. It's funny, or maybe sad, several times while I was putting together this series, I have seen questions posted on veterinary-specific forums about these new guidelines, and it has shocked me at the outrage they inspire, with many people weighing in how strongly they believe the general pet-owning population can't be trusted with unaltered pets. Maybe it has been because my entire career has revolved around hunting dogs, but I've never felt I was somehow judge and jury with regards to this decision. I've practiced my fair share of general practice over the last couple of decades, and I probably err too far in the other direction, having on many occasions written letters to humane societies or rescues advocating for a large breed dog to be allowed to reach skeletal maturity prior to neutering. My personal view is that I present optimal health options first, and then we take the discussion from there to where the client wants and needs to be with their pet. For the vast majority, this will mean eventually spaying and neutering. If you've watched the previous videos, then you also know that there is still conflicting information, like the studies we discussed about longevity. For me, this makes things a little easier rather than muddying the water. It means that both sides of this discussion have merit and we can find what works for you. For too long, the profession has advocated early spay and neuter, nearly universally. We predominantly use pet overpopulation, mammary tumors, and aggression to justify this. This became so ingrained that justification crossed a line to the point of chastising owners of intact animals, which was an unfortunate place for so many in the profession to get. These studies don't necessarily provide the end-all be-all answer to this question, but instead they illustrate that the profession can no longer treat owners who elect to keep their animals intact as pariahs. Enough science now exists to show that decision is every bit as reasonable, and in some cases more reasonable, than the blanket spay-neuter recommendations. If you follow me long enough, you know that I advocate individual discussions with owners and individual decisions. I think all of this new information provides us with the roadmap to have these individual discussions. If you plan on keeping your dog intact, great. Then if it's a female, here are the things we need to watch for and what a pyometra might look like. You're going to keep your male intact? Great. Then here are the things we want to watch for early in life from a behavior standpoint. How about spaying and neutering? Great. Let's talk about your dog and your breed and make decisions about when the timing would be best to avoid some of these major health concerns. It's funny, if we actually have discussions in an open mind, often everyone can come out as a winner. Unfortunately, from politics to medicine, we feel the need that there is only one right answer and it must be mine, and everyone else should live by that answer. Thankfully, that isn't the case. Now, if we can just get people on board with actually having these discussions. In the last video of the series, I will go over how I approach this in my own dogs as well as in client dogs, including for those breeds that we don't have detailed guidelines.